supplies needs. What is a need? A desperate want. So why don't you have $50 million? Because you don't desperately want to give to the people who have Ebola. If you desperately want to give to them, your need has expanded. Therefore, the Lord must meet your need. Let me be clear, there is no one in this room that did not eat yesterday. True or false? It is not what you will eat that is keeping you alive. The days you didn't know where you were going to get food, did you die? So how can it be to keep body and soul together that is causing you to go to a job or to have business? How can you go to run business because you want to make money? Money to do what? Money to do what? If you have 10 cars, can you have 10 bonbons? Even if you can build 20 houses, can you sleep in 20 beds at the same time? Warren Buffett is still using the same car that he bought in 1979. He is living in the same house that he was living in since 1979. And yet, NIPOS cannot track your address. It's from glory to glory. Every 2 years you are changing. Why? What is this thing about? Ask the person next to you, what is this thing about? The people that have what we want, they don't behave like us. How then can we behave like this and think we will get what they have? Tell somebody there's change coming.
There's change coming.
Say it again, there's change coming.
There's change coming.
Let me try and wrap up and I need to get you where I'm going. We have everything that it takes, but it's going to start with us. Nothing changes until our minds change. And I want you to understand this. In 2001, President Bill Clinton, or former President Bill Clinton, visited Nigeria and addressed the joint session of the House of Assembly, Senate, and the House of Reps. And he said something that blew my mind. He said, in the 21st century, the wealth of any nation will not be calibrated by what lies under the feet of its people, but by what lies between the ears of its people. In a sense, what he was saying, and he gave us examples of countries that had nothing and had produced everything. He told us how Japan is an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Japan had no known enough resources to produce rubber, silicon, or steel. Yet Japan was and probably is still the second largest exporter of automobiles. They don't even have enough rubber to produce a steering wheel. They don't even have enough silicon to produce a side mirror. They don't even have enough steel to produce a bonnet. How can they, therefore, be able to create the things that they don't have? Very simple. In the beginning, the earth was void, and the Spirit of God came into motion. And the next thing, the earth is full. That means you don't need anything to produce something. Nothing is good enough. Oh, God. I've never said that before. God just told me. He said you don't need anything to produce something. Nothing is good enough. God had nothing and he produced everything. And you are made in his image and likeness. So how can capital slow you down? When I started a business in a room with nothing, I started my business in a one-room. I didn't say one-room apartment. I said one-room. That is a room with 4 walls and a door. No, there's no bathroom inside, there's no kitchen inside, just one room. That was where I was living. 2001. It was a self-contained room. You know what self-contained means? It contained nothing apart from itself. You know, sometimes I tell people nowadays, some people will almost be angry. This one till you say that it was poor. It's not say it was poor. Hey. You see, when the Lord turned around the captivity, in 2000 I was looking for 5 naira to eat. 5 naira. And God still will not allow me to ask anybody. He said, I am your great and exceeding reward. He will not allow me to even ask my brother for any amount of money. Nobody. I will look unto him. Ladies and gentlemen, I had nothing. No chair, no table. The first 2 staff that I had, one of them sat on the only furniture that we had in that room, which was a cane dustbin by the side of the door. The other person sat with me on the executive mattress on the floor. I did not have a bed, I had a mattress. There's a difference. The mattress was covering a hole in my carpet. You need nothing to create everything. So if you have nothing, congratulations, you already have your share capital.
Thank you, sir.
Once you know what you have, you're already empowered. Let me move on. And let me tell you, the most important thing is, what is the world seeing about what we are doing here? When the world looks at Africa, are they seeing the same kind of things that we're seeing? Everywhere that we look, we're hearing the same thing. What is it? Okay, what is it? Africa Rising. Yet we are bothering ourselves about what is working, what is not working. They are looking at us, and the eyes of the world see potential. They are seeing potential. In 2008, a gentleman by the name of Vijay Mahajan wrote a book called Africa Rising. That book changed the narrative of Africa and the way the world looks at Africa. There is no CEO of a global company that has not read this book. There's no president of a world power that has not read this book. This guy, literally, by this book, created a new Bible on Africa. And he talked about how the world needs to tap into the purchasing power of over 900 million people. But you see, Vijay Mahajan only looked at Africa from a consuming point of view. He didn't yet realize what we can do when we become producers. He wasn't banking on a change in Africa. He was banking on opportunities from what it is that we don't understand. And yet the world looks at us and says, how can a people like this have so much poverty in the midst of plenty? Nobody can understand it. How can a people so blessed yet live in abject poverty? It is not understandable until you understand the meaning of poor. Somebody say poor. Poor. Passing over opportunities repeatedly. Every day they see the same things that we see. Things that should inspire us to produce a new product, to create. People will see human beings at a bus stop and it has not yet occurred to you to buy a rice. Passing over opportunities repeatedly. Somebody say it with the Africa Rising. Listen to this. I want you to watch this very carefully. Are you seeing? Can you see it? What do you see? What do you see? I'm sorry? Look at this. Are you ready?
Yes, it goes.
Can you see it? Yes. It's a pistol. Thank you very much. Where is the trigger for this pistol?
Nigeria.
Where in Nigeria
Port Harcourt.
Nothing is going to happen for Africa until Nigeria is triggered. Nothing can happen in Nigeria until River State. This is where the heart and the trigger is going to take place. My question is, who are the people in River State? Where are they? Oh, are you the ones? Yes. So you are in the right place at the right time. Yes. I thought that by now somebody should have been able to do that. Your potential, and they're going to invest in it. So I'm going to give you in less than 10 minutes 3 key things that you're going to do, because the world is coming for your goods. Hear me? There have been 2 dimensions of colonization. The third one is the one we are entering into now. The first one was what you call geographic colonization, where I showed you in 1885, people came together and started to seize land literally. That was geographic colonization. But soon after the Obafemi Awolowo's and all of that began to say, look, we must get independence, they had to change strategy. And they went into something else called commercial colonization. Commercial colonization was where they will buy things from you, raw material, at low value, and sell you finished products at high value. So they will buy groundnuts from you and sell you groundnut oil. They will buy cocoa from you and sell you chocolates. They will buy furniture, wood, hides and skins, and sell you furniture. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. Now, that was the time when they started to realize that there was trade imbalance. And so the world started to create this revolution where they started setting up World Trade Organization and saying it is not fair. We need to have trade balance. We need to have trade balance. So the world has shifted gear now. Now they are going into not geographic colonization, not commercial colonization. They are going into what you call economic colonization. Let me tell you the difference between commercial and economic colonization. Are you ready to hear it? With commercial colonization, they will buy your wood and sell you furniture. With economic colonization, they will buy your forest. So they will buy what produces your wood. Then they will put our children into the forest to go and cut them. And we will say, praise the Lord. Our children are now working for a multinational. And they will have the capacity to take 100% of their earnings out. Because before they brought it in as foreign direct investment, that had to be signed up. So in 1976, Obasanjo said there was going to be a policy of nationalization. By 2002 or 3, Obasanjo had to reverse that policy came in and said, anything, we need the money. So let me tell you what they have brought so far. Are you ready? Yes, are you ready? Yes, in 2003, the world invested 2.23 billion in Nigeria as foreign direct investment. That thing went up in 2004 to 5.31 billion. In 2005, it jumped to 9.92 billion. By 2006, it was 9.44 billion. By 2007, it dropped to 5.1 billion. Can anybody tell why? 2007, thank you. 2007, there was a change of government. Therefore, people held back a bit. They didn't start any new transactions. They wanted to see what kind of new government was going to be there. Do you understand what I'm saying? By 2008, the trust factor went up. It went to $7.1 billion. By 2009, $7.29 billion was put into Nigeria. By 2010, something happened. It dropped to 5.13. Does anybody know what happened? Change in leadership. By 2011, it went up 8.025 billion. 2012, 6.8 billion. 2013, 5.5 billion. Anybody know why it's dropping again? Because they go around and many of those other things. But just to let you know that in the last 10 years, $71.58 billion has been invested in Nigeria. Officially, not unofficially. Officially. 70, what? 70, at least you can write that one down so that you have it on film. It's from research now. So if you don't write it down, that means I wasted my time. $71.58 billion in 10 years. The world knows something. The question is, what do they know that we don't? What is that thing that they know that causes the front part of every plane coming into Africa to be filled with white people and the back part of every plane leaving Africa to be filled with black people? What do they know? Do you not know that every time you go from a less developed country to a more developed country, they call you an immigrant? And if you come from a more developed country to a less developed country, they call you an expatriate. What do they know? Are you ready to know? Are you ready to know? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have the time to deal with all of this. They understand time and chance. Those guys, they have people who are able to tell the future. They are called futurists. Futurists are paid by corporations to tell the future. And they are able to tell where is the shift in economics going. And what they do is they go ahead of actualization to make preparation there. That preparation is what is called foreign direct investment. Many of these companies, they call them the Fortune 500 companies, are the ones investing in Nigeria and in Africa. Africa today is the second largest region where investment is being, foreign direct investment is. Middle East is the largest. And these guys essentially are looking for opportunities. Walmart is buying a company in South Africa. They're setting up in South Africa. They're setting up all over the place. These hotels are being bought, right? Protea has just been bought by, what's the name of it? Golden Tulip. Okay, good. They're all over the place. So I don't know what industry you're in, but if they are not already dominating your industry, ladies and gentlemen, they will soon be there. And when they come, they're coming full and loaded. I just want to give you 2 statistics, then I tell you 3 things. Number 1, in 2013, I want to tell you the people that you are going to compete with. In 2013, the top 500 companies in the world, who are called global companies, made a turnover, that is sales, of $31 trillion. 500 companies. $31 trillion. Let me see if I can help you just to reduce that so that your mind does not. Their profits grew to $2 trillion. That is $2,000 billion. That's what 2 trillion is. That is profit. Imagine if all these companies were owned by Christians. How much is the tithe here? Tell me now. $200 billion would have come in if their companies were paying tithe. But they don't pay tithe. They are even willing to pay tax. And there is one tax, just one tax called the corporate tax, 25.1%. 25.1% brings their tax, one tax that they pay to the United States government mostly, because they are most of those companies are US companies, to $502 billion. 500 companies paying $502 billion in one tax. Just so that you can try and put it into context. Let me help you understand. If we convert it at 162 official rate, not black market, that comes to 81.3 trillion. Is what 500 companies, 500 ideas produced in one tax. Remember what our budget was last year? 4.3 trillion. So if these 500 companies produced 20 times the budget of Nigeria, 500 companies, in tax, not in profit, tax. Let me put it into, when you look at how much was allocated to education, 426 billion. That is 191 times what was allocated by the federal government to education. That was what these guys paid in tax. If they were going to put it in health, it would come to 291 times what government could have done. If it was going to come to agriculture, 996 times. I didn't say that's how much they made, though. I said that is how much they paid in tax. If you went to power, it is over 1,095 times what government voted for power. If you went to security, 77 times what they voted. That is tax. 500 companies. Petroleum, 1,336 times what. Listen, do you understand?
Yes, sir.
And I'm saying that we can be the ones if we will do the following things. Now, let me tell you. I met a young lady a few years ago, and she tantalized my soul. When I got talking to her, I started to have palpitations. My heart started to do. And before I knew it, you know, they say a man pursues a woman until she catches him. I was caught, smitten. A young girl by the name of Tara. 13 years ago, I was 14 years ago. When I met her, what struck me about her was just her sheer diligence. A young girl whose father had just died, and yet she was paying the school fees of her two younger sisters. Young girl. I couldn't believe it. And she was using her hand to do makeup for people. And the money that she would get, rather than buy clothes, she would use to pay school fees of her sisters that were in Federal Government Girls College. I was a business consultant. I knew how to build businesses. I was working in Philips Consulting, and I found out that I had a mission. So I started to share ideas with her, what we could do with the works of her hands. And before we knew it, ladies and gentlemen, we started to build an organization called House of Tara. Today, House of Tara has 19 branches across Nigeria. We have our own makeup line. That's not all. I actually do have these pictures here, I'll show you. Today, almost every lady that is of real substance has one Tara product or the other. You do. Thank you. No wonder. I said that you are. You know, to the point where if you say makeup in Nigeria, what do you think most people say? Now, do you understand that that market is controlled by global brands? Now, before Tara, what you had was Iman, Mark, Bobby Brown. You understand what I'm saying? Fashion Fair. And these were the brands around. So when the idea came from God that we could build a local global brand, it seemed like the same kind of idea God spoke to me about Nigeria 2025. But we have not only done so. Today, towards the end of last year, we were visited by the largest makeup brand in the world called L'Oreal. And some of you read it in the papers in February that L'Oreal engaged House of Tara in partnership to try to push their Maybelline line. because they said House of Tara had the deepest distribution chain in Nigeria. So when they came into Nigeria to push it, they said the only place it makes sense is to ride on the back of the Tara distribution line. Something that took us about 14 years to build. So I want to tell you how we did it. Do you want to know? Yeah. There are 3 things I'm going to tell you, and then I've closed my door. The first thing that we decided was that we were going to play world class and not less. That if we were going to have products that would carry the name of a child of God, those products had to be world class. Mac does not produce their own products now. Abi? Bobby Brown does not produce, they don't have a factory. So all we had to do was find out where do they produce. Let us go there. We found out that they produce in 2 major places. One in the US and the other one in China. And we got on the road and went to those places. And by favor of God, we started to produce in the same places, the same factories that produce the global products we produced. Why did we go there? Because number one, this is the first thing I want to show you. You must have a world-class standard of excellence. You cannot fight a global brand with an inferior product. If you are a speaker, is it not PowerPoint that they use? Why should your presentation be less than the presentation of somebody that comes from America? When I have the same machine that they're using, I'm using the same software. And I have the Spirit of God Almighty, that the earth is His, not just one nation. God does not have border. Men created borders. So the Spirit of God is a world-class spirit. Why should I be operating like a Nigerian? I can operate from Nigeria, but I will not operate like Nigeria. The same way we decided we're going to build a company, we're going to build a world-class company. From the name alone, you would have known our intention, House of Tara International. When we set our vision, we set the vision to build an African, a global company of African origin. Does anybody understand what I'm saying? Tell the person next to you, set world-class standard. You cannot behave like a Nigerian and then go and start to compete. Even if they guarantee your space by local content, it's not sustainable. Local content can create an opportunity, but it cannot sustain it. You must have world-class standard. The next thing that we did was that we realized that we were like David's dealing with a Goliath. David was small in size, Goliath was large in size. But the only way David was able to attack Goliath was head on. Why? Why didn't David try and go and stab Goliath from the back? Listen, Goliath was covered from head to toe in metal from the back. But from the front, there was a portion that was empty. Did you get it?
Yes.
Goliath's shield, his helmet covered his whole back. But the face here was open. Do you understand?
Yes.
The rest of it was covered. So the only place you can attack Goliath is by facing him.
Yes, sir.
You can't attack Goliath by fearing him.
No.
What was our own stone? Our stone was the little thing that we had that they didn't have, and it was called ethnicity. We decided to celebrate our ethnicity, not to behave as if we had to tolerate the limitation of it. So we started to create products, world-class products, but we named them according to Nigerian women. So we have, the product itself is called Tara Orekelewa, meaning, and you know, Orekelewa means the beauty of a maiden. The second thing was we started having products like Queen India, Queen Amina, Funlayo Ransom-Kuti. We have Arese. We have local names for global products. That strategy is called local. Local. So people will use it and they will say, wow. Why? Because they almost were not expecting it. So we pleasantly surprised the people. The third thing that we did was we engaged the heart of the people and empowered by empowering them. Before most of the people like Mrs. Cleo would have looked at Tara, the first people that were able to look at Tara were people who didn't have any money. Young girls that didn't have any hope, and we wanted to empower them so that they will not have to beg any man for a recharge card. This was the intention with which we went into empowerment. We went into empowerment for one simple reason, that we wanted to empower young girls to be financially independent so that they will never be tempted into moral compromise. It was a laudable cause. We did not even know that the wealth that was going to come from it was stupendous. We didn't. So today, over 3,000 girls all over Nigeria, that if you call them, they will ask you, who are you? What did you say? I should come to where? What do you want to give them? 3,000 girls that are paying their own rent, that are paying rent for their parents, because they get a house of Tara, they get Tara products at 50% of the market value, so they make 100% profit. 100% profit. Do you think that if we wanted to make more money, we would not have increased the price? Ladies and gentlemen, a great mentor of mine just came in, Pastor Larry Olushe. Please, can you just bless him as the pastor? So what was the first thing that we did? World-class products. Go in charge, determine in your heart to build a world-class standard. You are not a local champion. You are a global star. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Jesus called us light. Light has no border. Number two, we went after a global strategy. Meaning that we started to customize our products, global products, for local need. Mary Kay did not have the skin tone of the Nigerian girl. Mark did not have the skin, they didn't have powder shades for Nigerians. Iman did not have it. All the people that were using it, they will look like Omate Kubo. The yellow face, dark body. Because they will use powders that were different from their skin shade. We changed that for life. Then we started looking for eyeshadows that will complement the dark skin. So you see what they call the high intensity pigmentation products that we created, called it. Why? We noticed that when you use a particular eyeshadow, after about 2, 3, 4 hours, the eyeshadow will dull. Not because it was not nice. That's why ladies always have to go into the bathroom to touch up. But here, they don't have time. Everybody they hustle. So we have to give them a product, an eyeshadow that will last till next week if they don't go and get the bathroom. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to go local. Create global products for local needs. The last thing was we engaged the heart of the people by empowering them. We did a research, and the research showed why do beauty reps buy Tara products. The first reason they said it was a locally independently done research. The first reason that they said was because it was a good product. People like the shades, they like the quality, they like the feel. The second thing that they said was because it was their own product. It was our own Timantiwa, our own. It was our own product because of ethnicity. The third reason why people buy House of Tara products was because of Tara and Fela Groto. Because of Tara and Fela Groto. Most people that were surveyed said Fela Groto had come to their university 7 years, 8 years, 9 years before, and spoken to their soul. They had met him in a church. They met him in a seminar. Tara came to a women's program. Tara did this. Tara did that. These were the testimonies that people were saying. Oh, I saw Fela on television. If it is that Fela, I am sure the product of his wife must be okay. So in a sense, our own personal lives had impacted the people, and it caused the people to trust us enough to try the product. When they tried the product, they found out it was global, that it was a global standard, and it fitted their needs. So I'm about to ask you a very simple question. I hope it will not hurt you. What have you done to build the market? Markets are like houses. You don't build the market, you can't live in it. You know what